This machine right here is a MakerBot Replicator 5. The purpose of this video is to teach you pretty much the 101 and main operations of this machine. It is a very easy machine to use, and the main intention is to create rapid prototypes out of biodegradable plastic. And it's a pretty easy machine to use. Calibration is simple, operation is simple. Let's delve into this. This is a 101 on how to use the MakerBot interface. This is a Windows machine that will be provided to you. There will be two duplicates, pretty much the exact same software on both machines. The software you're going to be looking for is called MakerBot Print. This is a software that's able to convert theoretical 3D models into reality, or into something called G-code. The MakerBot software has its own proprietary, pretty much G-code. They don't call it G-code. So, critical steps is that you need your SD card. You need a USB stick, and you need a 3D model. So, you all should have been experimenting with a software called Tinkercad. However, I'm going to show a quick database called Thingiverse. Thingiverse is pretty much a massive database of 3D models created by many different content creators. They have many various different creations from, creatures from small microcomputers using Raspberry Pis, and we're going to actually grab something complicated. So, let's get the more circular clamp, cable clamp remix. So, whenever you're using Thingiverse, your best option whenever you want to grab all the files is you actually scroll down to Thing Files. And this will give you each piece and part. Fortunately, this one is organized very clean. We're going to get the most updated one. The file downloads immediately. If you're using Google Chrome, you should be able to drag and drop said model directly into the MakerBot software. Now this is a complicated piece. I will not be printing the whole thing because this is a long print. However, let me show you how to get those estimations. You press this button up here, and it will do an estimated preview. Depending on how powerful your computer, this may take a while. Fortunately, we're running a relatively powerful computer, so it will give me the timeline in a moment. So that's how it will print, layer by layer. Our time estimate is 1 hour and 41 minutes. Unfortunately, I do not have that amount of time for that I'm making this video when I'm making the trade for the 3D printer in the morning. So, we are going to use this real quick and search up chain. Now make sure to fully utilize this whenever you have anything complicated. This right here is actually the perfect model because this one is a very small piece. As you see, that is right next to a nickel. So we go down to Thing Files, and same thing. This right here is a special type of print file, a SLD print file. That's for specific types of printers. Same thing, drag and drop. Now the process is actually pretty quick and relevant. So I actually want to get this to print as soon as possible. You grab your USB stick, you put that directly into your computer, alright, then with that, you export this code directly to the MakerBot drive. We're going to call this Marv. Alright, with that, it will generate G-code. This pretty much is doing our calculations immediately. And that is creating something called G-code. This is an incredibly short print, 30 minutes, but I do want to show you the preview before we do anything else. So our preview gives a full demo of what the interior and exterior looks like. If you want to navigate that, you have layer lines right here, and it shows you pretty much what that's going to look like. All right, so with our drive exported, we go down here and eject it. All right, down to the next step. The MakerBot is quite an easy system to utilize. You grab your USB stick and you plug it in to the MakerBot. After that, you have this menu you can navigate by rotating the wheel and pressing down. If you get stuck in a menu, you have the back button there. But if we wanted to print this, it would be as simple as clicking on this to the USB storage. Our USB storage is being read. And there is always a chance of this happening. There we go. This USB stick is very old, and there's a chance of corruption being on it. However, it appears to be fine. So we click print, and the machine will start operating. With that, the gantry starts moving along with this. So it takes a moment for the extruder to heat. With that, I will show a quick view of that. This is what your screen should look like now when it's doing its preheat cycle. After this, I'm setting up a pretty much a video for time lapse. So this is a must. You need to make sure that you remove the print bed from the MakerBot. If you attempt to actually scrape off the material while it's on the printer, you have a good chance of actually de-leveling the bed in the print plate itself. So never do that, because if you do, you have to recalibrate every single piece of the machine from the bed and other plate. So the thing that you always want to do is pull out the build plate. It slides right out. So the absolute best thing for you to do is to make sure that the build plate that you've removed is on a nice and sturdy surface. Then after that, you grab your chisel and you tap the corners. This might take a little bit of force, but after that, the piece will remove very easily. And this base piece on the bottom is called a raft. That should pop off with very little force. If it does not, it means the filament has gotten humid. So with that, our piece is separated. This is now trash. And we have our final part. So let's say you want to replace the filament. You want to change the color. Well, we have this orange that kind of looks like a red for some reason in our light. Currently, we have yellow loaded. So the process for unloading and loading filament starts as so. You need to get to the main menu. After you've navigated to the main menu, you click on filament. We are going to show the unload process. So with that, you click the filament, unload filament. This will take a second because the entire hot end needs to heat up. And while that is continuing, one thing that occurs with PLA is that it does actually decay. It degrades and breaks down. So eventually with this material, it becomes very, very fragile and frail. This red filament I have is a little bit worn out. However, it is still functional. In this state though, It's very fragile and it likes breaking and snapping, which also does affect the performance of this material. So, there's a little dude. We are just waiting for the hot end to heat up. While that is occurring, I'm going to show you the procedure for unloading. So, when you need to undo your roll of filament, there is this little push cap right here. When you compress these two pieces together, the whole roll comes out. But all of the material is fed through a PTFE tube, this white thing. So what I'm showing you is how to remove our material from our extruder. This type of extruder is called a direct drive. Alright, our filament has started to retract. So, the material right here is going to start pushing itself out of the system. When you need to properly stow your roll, you pretty much hit continue. Alright, with that you pull out this filament, and then you spin this to grab a hold of this line. Alright, with that, you keep your hand on this, and you feed that filament through here. If you put any tangles in the filament roll, it'll cause issues later, and the printer will not know how to react. So, loading our filament is almost the exact first. Grab this. It's good to try to feed this line in first. Just initially, you don't need to push it all the way through. Pop the roll in, and you keep pushing until it is all the way at the end of the extruder. The PTFE tube. At that, you now select the load filament option. And you push it down, the filament's going to start feeding through. And once it has done that, it's going to start feeding through at the bottom of the nozzle. And you're waiting for it to change the color that it needs to. It has just turned that weird orange red. At this point, we are done. And a little song will play after you push the button. Alright, that concludes the lesson on how to work this printer.